welcome in. We are here at our coffee break. Is this the second or third one of the year? We only do four, so I'm not sure. I think this might be the second one. Second one of the year. But we are super excited for Scope of Work with Laura Angus and Brightview. Again, please, this is a Q&A session. There's 10 minutes for the sponsor to give a topic. We are recording. It will be posted to YouTube if you want to reference it later. And Laura is going to provide me with the slides. As an attendee of the coffee break, if you are a manager or homeowner leader, you will be sent a $5 Starbucks gift card after the coffee break. So hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Oh, yes, we have a YouTube channel, in case you didn't know. I'll link it when we're chatting. But let's give all of our attention to Laura for a minute. She's going to talk to us about Scope of Work.
Well, hey, thanks all for being here. For those of you that don't know me, like Rachel said, I'm Laura Angus with Brightview Landscaping. You probably see me at all the events. So today we are going to talk about Scope of Work, because this is something I think not just in the landscaping industry, we have challenges with across the board, and a clear scope of work can make or break a job and a vendor and manager relationship. So just give me a thumbs up when you can see my beautiful screen here, and we will take it away.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. So today, again, we're talking about the importance of a detailed scope of work. So take a moment now. Let's consider two scenarios. Actually, let me just fix my screen real fast. Okay, so two scenarios. In one, we have a landscaping project. It thrives with really meticulous planning. We've got super clear guidelines. And in the other, absolute confusion, misunderstandings that are leading to delays, unexpected costs, things look sloppy, and ultimately we have an unsatisfied client. The difference 99% of the time is going to be that a well-crafted scope of work. So just for fun, here's a quick question to start us off. And the first person who can shout it out, don't put it in the chat box. The first person that shouts it out, I'll send another Starbucks gift card to. So a well-maintained landscape can increase property values by up to 6%, 32%, 20%, or 18%.
20.
20.
Who said 20?
I did.
Okay, Tracy, you're the winner. I think you won my raffle last year too. The way to be Johnny on the spot. Yes, the correct answer is 20%. That's right. It's 20. It's huge. First impressions are hugely impactful. They really, really matter. I think we all know that, but you can't say it enough. The impact of a clear scope of work can have so much weight on achieving and maintaining that value. So what's a scope of work? I think we all know this, but I'm going to go over it anyway. A scope, it's a document. It outlines the specific tasks, the activities, the deliverables, and sometimes even a timeline associated with a project or an ongoing service. So in the context of landscape maintenance projects, the scope serves as a really crucial blueprint that's going to define the work to be performed by contractors and the maintenance team. And here's why it's so highly relevant. A detailed scope clearly defines what needs to be done, including tasks like mowing, pruning, fertilizing, chemical applications, irrigation management, and even your seasonal cleanups. This clarity is going to ensure that both the client and the contractor have a shared understanding of that scope of service. And by specifying the standards and the expectations for each task, the scope helps to maintain consistent quality across all maintenance activities. So this is going to include your criteria for the conditions of your turf, your plants, your trees, your hardscapes. The list is endless, but ensuring that the landscape is not only well maintained, but also aesthetically pleasing and, very important, healthy. A well-defined scope enables accurate cost estimation and budget management. It's going to detail the frequency of services, the required materials, the equipment, any special considerations, like, you've got, site-specific challenges, a huge slope, a giant hill, a water feature in the middle of your location. All of these things may affect your costs. So this prevents unexpected expenses and allows for efficient resource allocation. This is a fun one, right? In contractual agreements, the scope of work is going to act as a legally binding document that defines the scope of responsibilities and obligations for both parties. It's going to help mitigate disputes by clearly outlining what is expected from the contractor, but also what constitutes a satisfactory completion of that work. Cannot stress this slide enough. And then with a clear scope of work in place, the workflows are really streamlined. The tasks are performed more efficiently. Contractors can plan their schedules and their resources really, truly effectively, and it's going to minimize downtime and maximize that productivity. And finally, risk management. The scope of work is going to identify any potential risks associated with the landscape maintenance tasks, and it's going to include provisions for mitigating these risks. This is going to include safety protocols, environmental considerations, contingency plans for all those unforeseen circumstances. So a comprehensive scope, it's essential for landscape maintenance projects as it ensures the clarity, defines the standards, controls costs, all of the things we just went over to meet your client expectations and to preserve the health and the aesthetics of your outdoor space. So your key components of your scope of work, we want to make sure that it covers everything, right? In some cases, what I go over here may be overkill for your community specifically, but overall, this is what you need to see in your scope of work. You want to have a detailed description of services. So that means outlining all those specific tasks, right? Like your mowing, your pruning, your fertilization, again, your chemical applications. You need to make sure that a schedule and a frequency is included within that scope. When are they going to be there? How often they're going to be there? And even more detailed than that, how often are certain maintenance tasks performed? Maybe they're there every week, but how often are we looking at irrigation? How often are we doing a hard prune? Your performance standards. We want to specify the quality criteria for every single task. When you're looking at turf, do we do a hard edge or a soft edge? Something like that may seem not that important, but we all have known those homeowners that want their hard edge on their turf. They want it perfectly. They want it every time. So we need to make sure that's clear. Your materials and equipment, this one's huge. We want to make sure that we've listed out all of the required materials. Is that required plant life, required tools, required equipment? Are we going to be on a ride-on mower, a stand-behind mower, or do we want 21-inch mower so we can do cross mowing? There's a lot of details here. And then, of course, safety and compliance. This one is also huge. We want to make sure we're including safety protocols and adherence to any environmental regulations. So a quick case study. For those of you on the call, are you familiar with Marshall Medical Center? Pretty big out here in the Sacramento area. As you head up 50, you can't help but see their signs in Cameron Park and Placerville. This is a location that Brightview is fortunate enough to maintain. We just started the contract there, but it's a conversation we've been having for quite some time because they were in a very sticky spot with their current landscaper. So I have a map on here, and the area outlined in red is the entire campus of their Cameron Park location. So it's a decent location. It's on a really beautiful hillside, very picturesque. Now, the previous contract stated that the landscaper would maintain landscaping at the Cameron Park location. It gave an address and nothing else, which of course left Marshall Medical Center in a world of hurt. Now, despite what the actual campus is made up of, the area in blue is how the landscaper interpreted the Cameron Park location. So there's a huge disconnect there. Because of this lack of clarity, Marshall Medical was stuck. They were stuck in a contract. They weren't getting the services they needed, and they had no scope that really pointed out the specifics of the location. And so it left them unable to cancel their contract until the contract expired. It's a really sticky situation, kind of ugly, and it happens. This is an example of boundaries that don't work out, but there are so many different things that can get missed in a scope. So you really want to make sure that we have a highly detailed scope of work. In summary, your scope matters. So like I said before, that comprehensive scope of work is going to be essential for landscape maintenance projects to ensure the clarity. And I just put my little pie chart up there to talk about all the different reasons why we have that scope of work. Now, one last note, I would say that most landscapers, most vendors who provide a service, they're going to have a very, very general default scope of work. It's a great building block. It's a nice place to start, but I would really encourage each and every one of you to work with your boards to define that scope of service and make sure that it's realistic, it's still relevant, has the community made upgrades, changed things. Make sure it's up to date so that you're getting what you paid for, that your bids are accurate, and they are all, and when you're collecting new bids, that they are all easily comparable because they're all working off the same scope of work. That is my presentation, but I want to open it up and see if you guys have any questions about your scope of work. Anyone? I can't hear anything.
I don't hear anyone yet.
It's a pretty straightforward topic of conversation, but I do appreciate you all being here and hearing it because I can't say it enough.
We
I
don't have
definitely
anything.
like
Oh,
that breakdown that you had where it talks about like how often are you going to do this and what is your expectation for the mow height and what is the expectation of the equipment. Like that is something you don't normally see, but it's always something that gets asked.
Yeah, I think that you can never be too detailed, and it might come off as overwhelming in that initial RFP, but it's so helpful for us. And I think I can speak for all vendors out there. Just give us all the details. We're not afraid of it. We want to do the job that you hire us for. We want to do it right. So lay on the details.
Nice.
I can't tell you how important it is to have a community map and how many managers I've asked for a community map for, and they go, "Oh, we don't have one." What do you mean you don't have one? Like what you did, just go to Google Earth and like outline it. It's not, yeah. Just
Preach. I hear it.
you need it for so many different business partners, not just, I mean, landscaping, it's obviously super important, but for a lot of vendors, it's super important. And the number that don't exist just blows my mind.
Yeah, same. You'd be surprised how many RFPs I get, like really nice, formal RFP packets. You're like, well, did I miss a page? Is there a map in here? No, we don't have a map. It's a really old map. So Google Earth is your friend.
And that was good. I was going to ask that if they don't currently have a map on file, they don't want to pay a surveyor to go out and draw because that's going to be very expensive. You use Google Maps just to give a quick and dirty overview of the communities.
That's typically where I start with a Google map. And then once we've gone out, if we decide to estimate the project, we have some different programs that are very landscaping specific that will take some satellite imagery and some AI that can show us, what's mulch, what's shrubs, what's turf, and then what the property boundary looks like. And we always have the manager or the landscape committee sign off on that. Because
Makes sense.
it's like that Marshall Medical case study, right? They missed a whole hillside. So
Right.
it's pretty crazy.
I love how it all comes back to like less miscommunication, right? More communication in the beginning leads to less miscommunication, which leads to less strife.
Yes. Amen. We will all be happier in the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Laura? It doesn't have to be scope of work related. All right. Well, thank you so much, Laura. Thank you for sponsoring our coffee break. We sincerely appreciate it. Can't wait to get this up on YouTube. It'll also get posted to our social sites, and I will send out. Oh, so many claps! I will send out the link to the PowerPoint as well, which was I really liked that. Did you do that in Canva or did you do that in PowerPoint?
No, I just did it in PowerPoint.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. What's going on? What's the buzz? What do we need our peers to like bounce ideas off of? This is always a good space for that. Like, is there something happening that you're like, oh, like, I wonder how someone else handles this?
How about Emerald Landscaping?
Huh?
And your relationship with Emerald.
So
I'm sorry, I missed-
Emerald,
Go ahead.
I think that's okay. She was asking about the relationship between Brightview and Emerald. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So it's it's been a little bit miscommunicated across the industry. So Emerald Landscaping does fall under Brightview Landscaping. Typically, we will send any small jobs to Emerald, which means if it's a job that's under maybe $25,000 for the contract value, or if it's a very niche job, again, with like a smaller contract value, maybe it requires less equipment. That's something that we would send to Emerald. They're kind of, they're like our support system, so that we have a group that can pay attention and give the detail needed to those smaller clients on a smaller basis, smaller crew, smaller equipment. But anything over that $25,000 to $30,000 threshold, you're looking at probably a more high detail, high touch, a different array of training needed, a different array of equipment needed. So that's when you would see the contract transferred over to Brightview.
And if we're experiencing challenges, who do we reach out to?
You reach out to me. What's going on?
Can I put my email in the chat?
100%. And if you want to
Well,
put your phone number, I can give you a call right after this.
Perfect. I can figure that part out.
Yeah,
All
no
right.
problem.
All right.
Laura,
very
how are you
much.
guys doing with the change of equipment from gas to electric?
It's, it's just one of those things. You got to do it. I think the rest of the nation, because we're a nationwide company, right? So everybody's really excited to get all of our gas equipment transferred to them, where we're out here buying all this new stuff. But admittedly, we've had to be doing this for quite some time. A lot of our locations in the Bay Area, like Google and Oracle, there are some parts of like Skywalker Ranch where they require the electric only, and they have for the past 5 or 6 years. So we've had a really long time to kind of roll it out here. But it's a whole new set of challenges. We're learning how to make sure we have enough batteries and what that means for us. Do we just have like a mobile charging station where one man drives trucks around with new batteries all day? So we're fine tuning it, but I think it's been overall really positive. I will say we miss those gas blowers. They were the best. The electric ones just don't have the same power.
That's good to know. When did that law pass, or when is it like fully in effect that you have to be fully
in effect by 2027?
Okay.
And off the top of my head, I don't know if it's January or July, but there have been like different tiers that have to be hit. So a big part of it was this year, as of January, we can't buy any more gas equipment, but we have 2.5 more years to let it all die out.
On that note, California is very legislative heavy, and if you didn't know, we have CAI-CLAC, which is our legislative arm representing HOAs all throughout California, and we try to advocate for you on your behalf for things like this, because again, California, we're always the first to do something new, aren't we?
Non-usable turf and potable water concerns that will be upcoming.
Yeah.
Any insight on that?
Tracy?
Well, I was going to say, if anybody needs any education on the turf and the potable water and how to make sure you don't have to lose all your turf, there are all kinds of workarounds. We have some educational PowerPoints set up. We're happy to come out and talk to your managers or go directly to your board or landscape committee, because there's some ways to save the turf, and there's some really positive ways to convert and add some different landscaping varieties.
There was a question in the chat if somebody can explain the non-usable turf laws coming up.
Yes, so off the top of my head, I don't have all the details, but basically large areas of turf in corporate settings, like your business parks, your common area spaces, a lot of them, if they don't tick certain boxes, will be required to convert to xeriscaping or more drought tolerant. Basically, we want to see your turf broken up into smaller chunks. But there are some workarounds, as simple as saying that it's usable turf and putting, a soccer goal on that turf, or planting a tree every 100 square feet. I can get the details. I'm sorry, I don't know them off the top of my head. It's a law that we're still learning and figuring out all the loopholes, but we do have some really great educational stuff that we're starting to put together, and We've started to work on our talk track on that and how to present it to your boards. So yeah, reach out if you need any sort of educational information. You just want to start talking to folks about what is coming. Like Rachel said, it's California. Here we go. Buckle
Yeah,
up.
send me those links to those talks that you do and I'll include them with the social post.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just throwing out a word of caution when I personally love the idea of throwing a soccer goal on the grass because there is far too few soccer places in Northern California for folks to practice. But if your HOA does that and the underwriters for insurance look at Google Earth and see that soccer goal there, there's going to be questions about it. So make sure that you have like rules on who can use it and all that. So don't undermine yourself accidentally by trying to comply with the law.
That's huge.
Anything else coming up? I know Terry's on Clack. A couple other of you are on Clack. Is there anything we should be aware of since we're talking about laws?
I mean, unrelated to landscaping.
Yeah, unrelated. Hi, Steven. You're an attorney.
Hi.
Sorry.
I mean, I think the biggest one is the they're going to allow elections electronically. They're still going to have to. I mean, it hasn't been signed by the governor yet, but everybody thinks that it will be, and it's going to take effect, I believe, immediately as sort of an emergency law. They're still going to have to provide paper ballots to people who request them, but it's going to cut down on a lot of the expense and time involved in holding elections for board elections and you know, restating the governing documents, things like that. So people can just go online and click, you know, yes, no, I vote for this person, I vote for this person, and it's gonna, everybody is in favor of it. And it's been something that other states have allowed for a long time, and for some reason California hasn't. So that's the one I think we've been really kind of tracking pretty closely.
Yes, Franklin, there's a chance. There's a chance that you'll actually hit your quorum. And we
Steven-
also do have vendor members who do provide the electronic elections. So if you want a list, just let us know.
I was going to ask, do you have to go through like an election vendor, or can you do like SurveyMonkey for elections? Are there laws or rules behind how the electronic election gets done?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's still going to have to be a quote unquote inspector of elections who's conducting it. So that can't be anybody who's already under contract with the HOA for anything. But otherwise, you know, if they're not already under contract with, say, Survey, but you know, I don't know if SurveyMonkey is going to have the same security that they require, you know, in terms of maintaining the integrity of all the election materials. So I think it's going to probably have to be somebody who's going to be able to do all of those things that they require of the inspector in terms of confirming who's able to vote, you know, saying whether a certain candidate is qualified to run or not. I don't see SurveyMonkey doing that. I mean, most of what they do is for free. So
Right.
I don't think that they're going to take on that responsibility.
Cool.
Do you want to do your raffle really quick before we, I know we're getting close. Laura?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me share the fancy wheel. Oh, Zoom updated. Okay, here it is.
Oh no.
I think this doesn't look the same. Oh, what is this? Oh God, no. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. Okay, I'm spotlighting you. I think that'll work. Okay, let's see. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
See it.
See it. Thank you. Okay,
Here we
now I can't-
go.
Now I
Oops.
can't see it. Good Lord in heaven. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
won't let me click to spin.
No,
So
I
you-
know. Sorry. Okay, I'm on it.
It's a very slow spin.
It's-
Oh,
Oh,
Franklin.
Franklin! Whoop, whoop.
that's not going to extend my term on the board, right? I keep winning that.
Will you settle for an Amazon gift card? Okay,
Way better. That can provide some coping liquids or something. Yes.
perfect. I'll email it over to you, Franklin.
All right, before we sign off for the day, we do have a couple of upcoming events. We have nothing for the rest of this month. July is blank because everyone's traveling. Besides this. And then we do have our upcoming educational program on August 15th. One of our speakers is here. Do you want to do a little like what you're going to talk about?
Sure. So it's going to be a panel of insurance and attorney folks, myself included, and we're going to talk about who's responsible for what and aging infrastructures and how insurance underwriting has gotten a little bit technical as far as things that need to be updated, regardless of whether the association is responsible for maintaining, repairing, and replacing those items. They still need to be replaced. Surprise! So we are going to delve into those fun matters.
Terry. And yes, do not forget to submit presentations that you want to speak for 2025. They are due at the end of this month by July 29th. Thank you, Nico. You are totally hired. You can make as much as a volunteer makes, which is nothing, but you get lots of like props. And then we also have our Bags and Brews cornhole tournament. We are sold out of teams for that because they're only 2-person teams and there's only so many cornhole boards, but it is still a very fun night of like beer tasting and hangouts, and we have like other like little games there for you to do as well. So that is on August 22nd at Drake's the Barn in West Sacramento. It's like off near where Cirque du Soleil is usually tented out. Near the Yellow Bridge and the River Cat Stadium. So yeah, come check that out if you're interested. I think that's it. I can't believe we're rolling into fall. I'm kind of like weirded out about that, even though it's still like midsummer. No.
Stop it, it's still summer.
I know. All right, please be on the
Go by
lookout
the
for
heat.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, I know. I could fry an egg outside on the cement the other day. I was like, this is ridiculous. Please be on the lookout for the Starbucks gift cards and the PowerPoint presentation, and another huge thank you to Laura for sponsoring our coffee break today. Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thanks everyone.